Critics have been silent. James Stewart's self-prescribed quitter attitude put him back in the winner's circle again. Stewart came from behind at Stephane Roncada for his 5th win this season, and the only 125 rider to ever win 3 races on the legendary course. Mike Brown, the closest challenger to Stewart, missed the podium at Dilla by a mere 1 point. It was the only race this year where Brownie didn't hit the box. And this man, Broc Hepler, is trying to get back to the podium. 125cc action from Troy, Ohio on ESPN2. It's the 2004 AMA Chevrolet U.S. Motocross Championship from Troy, Ohio's Kenworthy's Motocross Park. It's a perfect day for racing. You couldn't ask for better conditions at a perfect track. The FMF Nationals at Kenworthy's Motocross Park. So much better conditions than last year where it was rained out. The dirt is fine. The weather's fine. I'm fine. I'm Robbie Floyd with Camera Steele. Jamie Little is down in the pits, and there's the man, James Bubba Stewart.
And he has been on a huge roll, and you can see he's rocking the black box here. He's not caring about the weather because it is a little bit overcast. It's a nice day, and he's been decimating everybody.
We're at the halfway point of this 12-race series, and, you know, people were talking about James Bubba Stewart and the problems he had at Redbud. I don't really see it as a problem. Racing's racing, and here's what he had to say.
You know, I feel good. I have fun time with my fans and all that, but, you know, when people call me a quitter, I guess that's just their own opinion. I still got people in my autograph line, so it doesn't bother me too much.
As we take a look at Mike Brown, the man who won that race at Redbud, what do you think about Bubba? He had, you know, they had no business saying that he's a quitter after that race.
They definitely didn't, and Brownie hitting the dirt, and Walker stepped it up to a different style. He's been doing it a different way.
The plan for me this last weekend was just to, you know, not go as hard as I could go, not sprint the whole time and ride on the edge. My plan was to just go out, get a good start like I did, and back her down a little bit. You know, not try to ride as fast as I tend to, and you know, most of all, not crash.
Can you believe that? The Georgia boy saying back it down. I didn't think that was in his repertoire.
Yeah, definitely not. And look, changing out tires, I think some kind of starting strategy here. And as you can see, it's a concrete starting area. And the track backs, the biggest thing is this track is going backwards this year. So a little bit different starting area, the way they're going to it. But it's still going to be clay. It's still going to have some deep ruts in it. And it will be slippery where there are no ruts.
Another fact about this track is it's the halfway point. That means silly season for the factory riders, and Jamie Little has more on the silly season.
We've just passed the midway point for the Outdoor National Series, and already a lot of the contracts, most of them have been signed for 2005. 2 big stories this week. Stephane Roncada has signed with Pro Circuit for 2 more years. Also, although Mitch Payton won't confirm, Grant Langston will be green in Pro Circuit in 2005. Now, one team that does have spots available is Moto World Racing. And there's one big name that has yet to sign, and that's Brandon Jesseman.
Well, I'm hearing over at Moto World that Eric Sorby's going to be riding on that team. And while the 30 board is up, that means we're going racing pretty quick.
As we take a look at the Honda 125cc starting grid, James Stewart and Mike Brown, all the big boys are here, but you expect a privateer possibly with a whole shot.
Well, anything's possible. I mean, there's some young guns in the house. I don't know about privateers, but there's always the guys like Gosler and Josh Grant. We've seen some whole shots from them, and you know, we'll see what happens. And there are some local boys that may have some special talents here, but let's watch and see if this long starting straight is a problem for Stewart.
James Bubba Stewart, the 2-stroke machine in a world of 4 strokes, looks to his side. And it looks like it's Josh Grant again with a hole shot in 2004. This rookie has been unbelievable on the start.
He has. What a scary start straight. You get going so fast. And oh, look at Grant jumping across the ruts. This is something you're really going to have to watch for today. You got to get in your lines, and you got to stick them. Once you're in one spot, you got to drive through that rut. If you start popping out of it, you're going to high side. Anything can happen. The other thing about this track, it's known as the Supercross track of Outdoor Nationals. There are big jumps all over the place.
But you're going backwards nonetheless. You're still going to see ruts as Ryan Mills from New York out in front. Here comes Josh Grant trying to stick a wheel in. This kid does not know how to back down.
He's not afraid to stick it in on anybody. And there's their teammate right behind him, 35, Chris Gosler. So it's a all AMSOIL, Chaparral, factory connection top 3, and
they're loving it.
Kudos to those guys building great bikes, hearing a lot of good things about them, and you know, they're all looking good and working hard. Remember, it's going to be slippery in some sections, it's going to be real tacky in others, and the roof still does hurt. And you see those guys working different lines. Josh Grant jumping way out.
The mogul section as they're making their way through right there. Josh Grant trying to work that outside, and had his foot pulled off of the peg. This is early on the first lap of the race, and already the ruts are huge.
And you see different lines. Josh Grant, look at him boosting the triple, and OJ, a little over jump there. He just grabbed too much throttle, but he saved it. But these two guys got problems. Look at the rider in black, coming in Darth Vader style.
And he puts the R in rhythm section right there. James Stewart starting to work his way, swings wide of the Hondas, and jumps over that double section. Perfect rhythm, and he's working on Ryan Mills now. James Stewart.
Oh, look at that. Josh Grant.
Had to deal with Grant first, though.
We talked about the ruts. And what happens, you get into a rut, you set and pick. But if you got too much speed, and it looked like he just couldn't get on the binders, he tried to scrub speed on the jump before, maybe didn't get on the brakes soon enough, he popped out. But James Stewart is smart and cagey, just grabs the brakes himself, lets Josh have the problems, and sneaks right on by into second place.
Ryan Mills leading James Bubba Stewart. Josh Grant in third. I'm also noticing a Suzuki moving into the picture. Looks like Broc Hepler up inside the top 5 now, and Stewart dives to the inside. I don't know if he can do the Bubba scrub there or not, but
how vicious was that rail? He just set the tires right in that little rut and just held it on and just buzzed right by.
Little Goose Chris Gosler back in 4th position as Stewart now is in the lead. Let's see if he can stretch away. Yeah, that was unbelievable how he railed around that berm. I mean, he had a little bit of a hump as well, and there's that real rutty section.
You can see the rut, you see the bikes kind of flying off, front wheel to the right a little bit. When we talk about getting cross-ride, how is the air time back there? You talk about getting cross-ride, what we're saying is, let's take a look back at Josh Grant. He just gives it a whole bunch and jumps over this. Look at the neck snap. He's going to have a little bit of whiplash going into Moto 2.
What do you say, youthful exuberance? My buddy Denny Stevenson always talks about the young guys. He was trying to jump his way into first. It actually cost him right there. And you see, he's just getting swapped out.
See the scrub I'm talking about there? And he just looks like he never got his foot right back to the brakes where he wanted before he had to set up for the berm. Pops over. Now he's a youngster. We're going to give some credit. He got a hole shot. He's been on the podium. And this guy's been on the podium a few times.
Do you think that's a case where Josh Grant looks at James Stewart doing that and says, I can do this, but it takes a little time to develop the Bubba scrub?
Definitely. And about 6 or 7 seconds already by James Stewart. And you talked about Broc Hepler coming in. He's moving up right past Chris Gosler, who's had some knocks on him. And they say, you know, it's just conditioning, but he looks great, like he's in great shape, but keeps going backwards just a bit. And it looks like Matt Walker also coming into the picture, the new toned-down conservative Matt Walker.
Yeah, I want to see that one. I have yet to see Matt Walker ever toned down. As we look at the race for second, James Stewart is pulling away. Mills and Grant going at it. These are two teammates that are not backing down from each other.
Well, you know, no team order is on winning, so the only team order probably is don't knock each other down or take each other out of the race. And you know, this is a great team. They really work together really strongly. And right now, Jamie Little's with Ryan's Mechanics.
Guys, the big good starts this year, but he starts the pace. So far, he's holding on pretty good.
Yeah, he's got good start. He's looking good. Hopefully, he can hold on and finish on the podium.
You think it helps him and motivates him when it's a teammate running behind him?
Hopefully. So hopefully, he can stay in front of Grant and we can get him on the podium.
It's all about the team, Cameron. They want to stay up top. As we take a look at our running order, we'll be back to Troy in just a moment. Welcome back to Kenworthy's Motocross Park, Troy, Ohio. As you can see, it is a wonderful day for motocross. I'm Robbie Floyd with Cameron Steele. And as the field sorts themselves out, it is the rookie Josh Grant ahead of Ryan Mills, 2 and 3 positions respectively.
And this is a tough section. Lots of big jumps, some options in here. And you see Broc Hepler still sneaking into the screen. And you really got to watch yourself on these ruts, especially in the faces of the jumps. If you get cross-rutted, you start flying sideways and you have some ruts in the landing, it can spell disaster, and that's one of the keys here. Really just picking your lines and being smooth with the line you've picked. And
not too smooth is Broc Hepler going down.
Not sure what happened there. We didn't see it, but, you know, Broc is tangled up in some banners there, and the one bad thing about crashing on the 4-stroke, If it goes to sleep and stops running, when it's hot, it can be a little tough to start, especially if you're all amped up and trying to make it go. And he's pointing at the front. Yeah, that's a banner in the front tire.
Can I get a little help there? I've got something caught in my disc. I have no idea what it is. I'm thinking it's the banners you just took with you. Look way up at the top of the screen. I think he makes a little contact with a hay bale.
Yes. Oh, and it looks like maybe getting one of those ruts just the wrong way sucked him off the side of the track. And there's the mechanic Lee McCullum watching on, and, you know, he's a former mechanic of Travis Pastrana, so, you know, he's accustomed to some different things. He's given the P26. That means, hey, you're in 26th place.
You need to work your way back up. Lee knows what he's doing, trying to incite some enthusiasm back in the youngster. And, yeah, he did get thrown very far forward. He knew he was about to hit that bale, and he paid the consequences. So Broc Hepler has some work set ahead of him.
And it looks like he's coming up on Turbo Reef. Flying, just launching it out there. You saw the other riders around him not able to do that jump, and Broc just set it on fire. And his mechanic Lee dubbed him the Iceman, so we'll see how much ice is running through his veins as he tries to make his way up through the pack.
Exactly right. We'll see how cool he is, because you heard Matt Walker mention earlier he was going to try and ride smoother and more relaxed. We're not seeing that out of Broc Hepler right now. And Walker, on the other hand, is up front.
And here we have the battle for fifth. This is Ivan Tedesco, your Supercross champion. So you'd expect him to be really in the mix here at an outdoor national that they dub a Supercross. Look at the rut. You see Davi Millsaps, that's the yellow bike, the 188, trying to get up behind Ivan Tedesco.
And his teammate just in front of him, Matt Walker. So we do have battles raging throughout. Another rookie, Davi Millsaps, the highly touted Suzuki superstar, trying to work on the 125 West Coast champion, Ivan Tedesco, on that pro circuit Kawasaki. And Tedesco's been doing this a while. You know he has a little pride in himself. He wants to hold off the kid on the Suzuki.
Definitely, and Millsaps, a lot of people were just really touting him so highly. You saw Tedesco come out of that corner a little bit slow. Wonder if something's going on there. But it took Millsaps a little bit of time to get into the rhythm of these outdoor nationals. And once he found his groove, he's been really working it. Unfortunately, at the last race, not able to finish one of the motos, and that really hurts him in the points, puts him outside of the top 10.
What do you think about Millsaps? He had so much pressure on him going in. Does he still have that same pressure? You talk to him all the time.
I really think that he does have the pressure. I mean, you know, it's a big commitment from his family, the training facilities, and here we're looking at the battle for third place. Mills is trying to work it and stay ahead of Walker, but, you know, the best thing he's done is close to home in New York at Unadilla, 8th overall.
Yeah, a very familiar track. We'll take a look at Josh Grant right now working his way through that rhythm section. Mills has Walker in his back pocket. It's good to see Matt Walker healthy again and riding up to his potential.
Well, he's one of my favorite characters on this. Look at these guys, two different lines. Let's see which way pays off. You saw Mills go to the outside, Walker trying to work it inside, and to single out into the flats there. There's a lot of jumping into the flats going on out here, and you watch to the right, like right there, Walker just totally jumped over the landing. What he's trying to do is carry more speed instead of downsiding the jump.
And as the race develops, those flats will become humps themselves, and they'll turn those flats into doubles.
They will, and it has a tendency to hurt if you catch it just the wrong way and go over the handlebars. Let's see what Jamie Little has for us.
Well, I know the good news is Matt got his crash out of the way early in practice. How's he feeling right now?
He's feeling good. You know, he's been working really hard. We got the bike going good and got a pretty good start. I think he can do it if he stays on two wheels.
But his body feels all right after his get-off with the trash cans?
Yeah, after the get-off, he was all right, but the bike was wrecked, but he's all right.
Bent forks, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, wrecked the fork, muffler system, subframe. He did a good one. Thanks.
So that big practice crash, obviously not affecting him right now. He's trying to work his way into third spot all over Ryan Mills. There he goes on the inside. He scrubs just a little bit. He's set up because as he push him wide, he doesn't have to. Mills lets him go.
Just comes in and takes the line, but you saw working the section before, he had a better line where he actually got to do a little bit different jump section there. So Walker being smart, he's been around for a while, and this guy's been smart and been around a while. You talked about Kenworthy's not being run last year, but 2 years ago in his rookie season, James Stewart was the winner here in the 125 class en route to a 125 championship.
It only has one loss on the year. That race at Redbud pulled off the track. And speaking of riders off the track, Brandon Jessamine Bandit is off. Bike is smoking. What the heck happened with Brandon?
Man, tough break. If this guy can catch any good luck, it would be a miracle. The kid from PA has just been having oh, that's the radiator hose.
It's smoking for a reason. There's no water in it. It's all been dumped out.
That line is not connected. Look at these guys airing it out for fourth place.
Mills trying to hold off a very hard-charging Ivan Tedesco. Tedesco rails that outside. One thing about Kenworthy, yeah, they might be running it backwards. You're landing on flat. This is a great course. You're seeing multiple lines. Whenever you see multiple lines, that is great for passing.
It is, and the riders actually talked about how it was kind of tough to get around people, and I think it's just because you got to set the line so differently, but there are multiple lines, as you say, Robbie, really good point. You can look to the outside, to the inside, maybe inside, outside on a couple places, but remember, you got to stick in those ruts, cross-rut those jumps. We saw that it took Broc Hepler out. Let's see, this is where Matt Walker got by.
And you would think you would learn from when Matt Walker got by him. Ivan Tedesco does the exact same thing on Ryan Mills. And starting to drop back is Mills after a great start, but it's still James Bubba Stewart out in front.
Dry car wash.
Hi, I'm Rick Johnson, the riding coach for Team Suzuki, and this is your Suzuki riding tip of the week. Here at Troy, Ohio, it's a lot like an outdoor supercross, so some of the riders will be doing seat hops, and that's what we're going to look at today. A rider will come around a corner, get set up for the jump, stay seated as he accelerates off the face of the jump. This does two things. One, it gives the rider more time to focus on traction and acceleration, and two, it fools the shock into thinking that the rider is heavier than he is, which it rebounds harder and gets the rider up and over the jump. Now let's take a look at this in real time. And that's your Suzuki riding tip of the week.
Thanks a lot, RJ, a.k.a. seat hop, seat bounce, whatever it takes. Just get over the jump. We're at the AMA Chevrolet U.S. Motocross Championship from Kenworthy's in Troy, Ohio, and James Bubba Stewart is working his way through lap traffic.
And unfortunately, that's Tucker Hibbert. He's a former gold medalist at the Winter X Games on the sleds, and I know Summer X Games right around the corner. He's going to be seeing some super moto out there, and should be pretty exciting. Unfortunately, James Stewart won't be racing there, but some of his compadres in the 250 class will be out there doing battle.
Yeah, that will be a great race. Another guy who's done supermoto is Ryan Hughes, who you're looking at right now. Had some difficulties at the last stop. In the first moto in Unadilla, he was fourth, but then suffered in the second moto with Nathan Ramsey.
Yeah, and the race before that, he pulled out because he had a dislocated toe, and we know he's been trying to slim down, cut a little bit of weight so he's a little bit more effective on the 125, because he's one of only 2 or 3 bikes out there that are racing against all these 4-strokes.
Another situation, does Ryan Hughes know where he's going next year, and will they have a 4-stroke for him, because it looks like he really kind of needs it.
Yeah, and I keep hearing the KTM thing for him, and he's one of the riders.
Oh,
great air time.
Great googly moogly. Did you see the air he just got?
James Stewart not afraid to launch it. We know about his supercross prowess, so working this Kenworthy's track over to his liking, and I think he could probably hold on to the moto win here.
Yeah, he could do all right. I mean, it's good to see James Stewart is playing it conservative, you know, making all the downsides. I think he turned the triple into a quad right there. He had so much air.
And one thing to point out, the race is never over until it's over, and especially here where we have different conditions. You have some slippery areas like you saw right there. We have some deep ruts. Anybody can catch a rut, a peg, go over the bars, high-sided. Anything can happen at any time.
James Stewart putting on a clinic right now. There's how you do a tear-off, but you notice he's landing on the downside of some of those jumps with his leg out, preparing himself for that next corner, waiting the outside peg. He's doing everything right. Go ahead and tape the show, ladies and gentlemen, because he is putting on a clinic.
And you see, just trying to make it smooth. I think that's Matthew Lalo's going by. I know he had some problems with his knee in practice, so it looks like he's not completely attacking aboard that Moto Triple X bike and maybe just trying to play it safe to get to the finish.
We want to remind you that they are running the track here at Kenworthy's backwards. As you're looking at James Stewart, it is a different track than they are used to. These guys have been doing the same thing for so many years, but now it's changed up. Jamie's down with J-Bone, Jeremy Albrecht, Bubba's mechanic.
Jeremy, is there any place on this track that's a challenge for James?
good question. It doesn't seem like it. Everything seems to be fine. He's a lot of big jumps. He seems to be riding good, though. He had a really good day yesterday, and seems to be good today.
Just another day, another win.
Yeah, pretty comfortable right now. Everything feels good.
Oh, hum, I think I'll have a sandwich, a snack back here in the pits. Just a normal day at the office for J-Bo.
Yeah, and I know J-Bo's got his own event, Surfercross, coming up in California during the break after Washougal. A lot of the top riders will be there, and you know, we'll be covering it here on the show, show you how the motocrossers surf and how the surfers motocross.
Well, I've heard it's ugly on the motocross to surfer side. Is Josh Grant looking for his best finish of the year?
He definitely is. He could go. If he goes second here, he's got a shot at second overall. He's still got a shot at first overall. Remember, motocross is combining two motos. So that's the overall. His best overall is a third place. So he's on a roll right now. We'll see if he can keep it together.
Just in second as we look at his teammate Ryan Mills, who had a great hole shot and has worked his way through the pack. Unfortunately for him, it's backward. Here comes factory Honda pilot Nathan Ramsey, and he's starting to charge in and swapped over and could not put his foot down. Ryan Hughes goes down. I don't have any idea what happened. It looked like he was almost crashed before he even made it to the rut.
Is he hooked on the motorcycle? Like he started going into the rut and then came around, and it looked like his visor or something was like caught on his front brake or something.
You and I have been covering motocross for so long. I don't think I've seen anything quite like that before. It almost looked like he crashed before he crashed, and then he couldn't do anything about it. Let's take a look.
All right, gets down, and he's definitely hooked. Rhino.
I don't mean to laugh, but
we better not laugh because Rhino's one bad dude.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, all his buddies and even him when he watches this show will be going, I cannot believe I did that. I've never seen that happen before in racing.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Getting it, probably the chin strap or the mouthpiece of the helmet hooked over.
He just hooked the underneath of the mouth guard, I believe, as we're looking at James Stewart on the final lap. Here, the first 125cc moto at Kenworthy, Detroit, Ohio. Working through lap traffic there. It's a little Bubba Scrub. There's not too many Bubba Scrub jumps out here, but here's how to wheelie.
Rocking the wheelie as he's lapping people, picking ruts and flying along. And, hey, there's a checkered flag for Bubba.
James Stewart takes moto number 1 at Kenworthy. James Bubba Stewart has his 12th Moto 1 of the season, and he's with Jamie.
Is there anywhere on this track that's a challenge for you?
Oh, yeah, you know, the track's really slippery. You know, it just rained a little bit before we went out. And, you know, it's a little bit slippery out there, but two-strokes working good. I had a pretty good start out there. I was pretty pumped, and I just got my Kawasaki out front and checked out from there.
Smiling as always, James Bubba Stewart as Suzuki brings us our 125 Moto 1 results. Grant and Walker round out the top 3. Any surprises, Cameron?
Not in the top 10, other than the fact Gossler split back to 12th.
Broc Hepler, he went down, worked his way all the way up to the 14th spot. It's a good job for the Hamburger Hepler. Now back down to Jamie.
You know, being the rookie out here, we have to ask how you feel because it's all new for you, and every win is so exciting, every second place, every third place. But you had a good battle going with your teammate, Ryan Mills.
Yeah, him and I were going at it for a while, but I don't know, Mills is a good rider. Everyone's about the same out there, so it's tough.
Let's take a look at the fastest lap times. Any guesses how fast James Stewart was? 3 seconds faster than Josh Grant. Ryan Mills almost a half a second off of Grant's pace. Now down to Matt Walker, who finished 3rd.
All right, Matt, I hate to bring this up, but I know you had a little run-in with the trash cans here on the track, but it's happening to a lot of riders.
Yeah, you know, they put trash cans out on the track yesterday, and I came and jumped this big tabletop and landed right on it. It shot me off the track. I went through a chain link fence, and I don't know, the fan said it would have killed a lesser man, so I guess I'm doing all right, you know. But, hey, good start, good moto, Pro Circuit Kawasaki. It's running great, and I can't ask for a better team or a better bike, and I'm glad it's finally paying off for me.
Nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every rider on the track is an AMA member. How about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA, rights, riding, and racing. Now we go outside the line with FMF Racing, Donnie Emler.
remember my father bought me an engine for Christmas for my mini bike, and he came home and it was all apart all over the bench, and he about had a heart attack. And then ever since then, I've been taking things apart and putting them back together, and you see how they tick, and then usually get in there and do something to them to either make them worse or make them better. Usually make them better. I started doing a little service for some friends, and then they started getting money. I started getting money for this, and then I wasn't the fastest guy, so I started sponsoring name riders and splitting the purse with them. And we started earning enough money to buy a van and thing, and enough money to get a shop. I got a little industrial building, and it just kind of started advancing from there. I got an order for like 20 exhaust pipes from a shop back east, and I couldn't really come up with the cash to do it, so they fronted me some money to do it, and then I got the metal, and we got some friends pound out pipes, and we shipped them, and that was actually our first order. So from our first order of 20 pipes was our first order. Last year in 2003, we did over 100,000 units. The off-road business is changed in a way that, over the last 2 years, it's been changing really rapidly towards the four-stroke market. The challenge of the four-strokes is much better, much more fun than the two-stroke. I think that on the development side, people have only scratched the surface. The aftermarket's only scratched the surface on the development side, which is, we've got all kinds of inventions. We have patented gizmos and things that are, and just trying to figure, like I say before, is trying to figure out how to make it for production. Basically, I'm still a garage guy, and I'm still tinkering around always, daily, every day. We're always trying to find something better and then figure out how to make it. I really, really enjoy doing this. I love to come to play, not to work.
Flying Machine Factory, it's good seeing them get stronger as the years go by. James Bubba Stewart won Moto 1. Can he repeat? Before we get to Moto number 2, Jamie Little has more on the tires to deal with his concrete pad.
This is the fourth concrete start we've seen this year in motocross, and these guys are doing something a little bit different. Not everyone, but Team Kawasaki especially. They're putting on a fresh rear wheel after the parade lap. They said part of this is psychological, but the dirt is so tacky here in Ohio, they can't get all the dirt out of the groove. So they put them on the line, fresh rear wheel, and they're good to go.
I've seen that before, Cameron Steele. It may be a mental thing, but they want fresh rubber going on that fresh concrete as we take a look at our Honda 125cc lineup.
And all the usual suspects, the question is, who can get in front of James Stewart? That's what they need. They need the whole shot, and they need to really put down a couple hard laps to get some space between them and James. We'll see how he comes off the concrete this time.
Looks like they were kind of icing the kicker there, holding the starting gate for quite a while. I already see Nathan Ramsey with a great start on the four-stroke Honda.
And it looks like a gaggle of four-strokes there in front of him. Probably 8 bikes back is James Stewart. So he's going to have to put in a little bit of work, but we know he works quick. Look at him right to the middle there.
Nathan Ramsey, rider number 25 out of California, takes the inside line. He has James Stewart hot on his tail. Stewart,
Hurley goes down, and looks like he's got Bobby Canary from New York there in his back, and the Lowe's tangled up in that as well.
Darrell Hurley's going to have to work his way up through several riders. That first turn is very decisive. It's different than they've been used to in years past. They have switched the track. It is now going backwards to the conventional way. James Stewart in third spot. They're all chasing. Now make that second spot. He's trying to get by Nathan Ramsey, and there's Josh Grant again with another good start in second.
Josh is in the mix with 3 guys that really did well in Supercross, and not surprising that, they've been doing great in outdoors as well, but this is more a Supercross track. You see James Stewart up there, you see Tedesco up there, and Nate Ramsey, so all of them looking to get... a little outside move.
It made it look so easy going by the outside. Nathan had to go, where in the heck did that come from? You talk about the Supercross town out there. Those riders won every Supercross year except for little Hanny, Josh Hansen. Every one of them.
That's a pretty amazing stat. You see that triple right there? That's the one where we saw Josh Grant go for the jump in the first moto on the first lap and give himself a little bit of whiplash, and he's not doing it now, and he might have had an opportunity to step up in front of Nate Ramsey had he done it.
Track's starting to dry up. You see how Bubba was going for it right there. Wasn't able to really go over on the downside. Lands on top of that jump, but going for a little extra. Davi Millsaps, rider 188, just barely right around that top 5 position.
And you also see Matt Walker coming into play there. Great first moto. We'll see if he can land himself back on the overall podium again this week. And the riders kind of set up in single file. You see Josh Grant again using a really far outside line going into that section.
Your top 3 right now. James Stewart ahead of Nathan Ramsey, Josh Grant, Ivan Tedesco. In the 4th spot is Tedesco trying to get by Grant early. In 5th spot is now Davi Millsaps, 188 on the Suzuki.
And you see Josh Grant, he's been looking at different lines, and this time he dives inside, but maybe going to the outside or place where everybody else isn't, maybe trying to stay away from the ruts a little bit, because we know those tracks in California, especially Glen Helen, doesn't have a ton of ruts where he does a lot of riding.
In all kinds of racing, the general rule is if you're going to pass me, you're going to go by the long side, as we see Nathan really catching a lot of air. Nathan Ramsey, you make the guys go on the long side, but if you go inside, make a bobble, you can expect him gone because he will have a better drive on the outside lane.
And look at this, these guys going back and forth, a little outside in, and Tedesco trying to keep Davi Millsaps behind him, but not able to do it. Davi Millsaps moving up into 4th place.
Millsaps, the factory Suzuki rider, number 188, closes in on fellow Rookie of the Year candidate Josh Grant, who's just in front of him. Grant looks to be, again, another podium candidate. Can he improve on that 3rd overall that he had, at Redbud, and finish 2nd here at Kenworthy?
Oh, right now, if you mix up the scores where it is right this second. Oh, did you see Tedesco leaning through that rut trying to keep it straight? We talked about crossray before. Maybe he thought he was going to do some crossray, but what I was saying is, we finished right now, that kid, Josh Grant, would be in 2nd place overall if they finished just like this.
Davi Millsaps leans it in. You can tell the track is starting to dry out, but, you know, another thing is when you have that hard tire for the starting area, that doesn't necessarily mean a great tire for the track. Conditions change throughout the event. You have to plan accordingly.
And Millsaps trying to make some work on Josh Grant. You saw him taking different lines in that rhythm section. Really run it here. We'll see if Millsaps airs it out. Whoa! And now you see where he gets into a rut. He aired it out past that landing a little bit. Caught a rut a little bit funny and almost threw him. I mean, he could have ended up in the dirt.
Watch out for Davi Millsaps taking these outside lines. He's going to square it up. He said, he telegraphed that. I even saw that one coming, Cameron Steele.
How deep is that inside rut, too, that Josh Grant has to deal with? Davi Millsaps just goes right around the outside. And look at Josh Grant hopping out of the lines again. Again, the rut's maybe a little bit of a problem for this youngster who hasn't seen this track before.
And really no one's seen this track the way it is. Ivan Tedesco gets by Josh Grant. So Grant, with a good start, starting to drop back. You can see Bones there cheering on Ivan Tedesco with Pro Circuit. And Tedesco looks really good. I've been watching for so long. He came out of New Mexico, lives in California now. He and his brother come up in the Southwest region. This guy has so much talent. Now we're finally seeing him, reap the benefits. He always seems to be in position to take a win.
Definitely maturing a bit and coming into grips with it. Josh Grant is looking hard at Tedesco again, but he's got another problem. The Boost Mobile Yamaha Troy bike of Mike Brown, who is our only other overall winner so far this season, other than James Stewart. He's on the prowl coming up there.
Brownie taking that Redbud win, the veteran with the number 3, a former 125 motocross national champion. As Ivan Tedesco tries working his way up through the field, but it's still James Stewart in front. Welcome back to Kenworthy's. There's the man, the 250 national champion, Ricky Carmichael, and Jamie's with him right now. Jamie, what do you have?
Yeah, I see you standing out here doing 125 moto. You looking at anybody in particular?
Oh, I like to come out here and watch and see if I can learn from anybody, actually, and see if I can see a good race. But Bubba always pulls away, so it makes it boring. So I kind of got other friends out there that I like to cheer on and watch and see how they do. And I'm a fan as much as a racer.
And he's trying to keep that undefeated streak going as well in the 250cc class. There's J-Bone, Jeremy Albrecht. +10, that's a lovely sign right there, huh, Kevin?
It's good for them, +10. They're not unaccustomed to +30s and giving him a happy face for his lap time. So just giving him all the information he may need. You see James digging into that berm, and he switched up first moto, rocking the black here. Second moto coming out yellow, so the dark mode and a little bit flashy the second time with the different styles of Fox gear, and I wonder if that says something about, you know, his moods or picking different stuff, and it's the same result so far. In fact, all these guys, a lot of them run in yellow right there on the top. And not that there's any correlation to finishes or anything like that. Just pointing it out.
James's mood has to be very happy right now. A 2:05 lap time. You saw that just a moment ago. He's still running very quick, but charging hard behind him. Nathan Ramsey, Davi Millsaps, the rookie, going at the old veteran.
And Nate Ramsey, no stranger to wins, a 99 Supercross or 125 Supercross champion. He's won on everything he's raced. And Davi Millsaps is a young gun, and he's giving this guy fits, and there he goes right on by. And Millsaps seems to be really comfortable hanging it out in the ruts. And, you know, some guys need to pick the rut and get careful with it. Nate Ramsey's not a guy like that. He can just put it in and go, but Davi Millsaps has the speed for him today.
Oh, look at this. Davi Millsaps on the outside, Ramsey to the right, number 25 on the Honda, and Davi definitely has something for him. I do not expect Nathan Ramsey to back down, though. This guy didn't win that 125 championship for nothing. He is very fast. Honda thinks so. Gave him the factory ride. And Davi Millsaps has his work cut out for him because Nene's not going to give up. Ramsey with a third in Southwick. He has 4 top 5s on the year. The win and second place is eluding him, though.
Yeah, and he'd like to get to the win, but everybody would like to get to the win. This guy, James Stewart, you see him seat bounce in that section. And that's a lapper next to him there, Steve Boniface from the Moto World Racing.com team.
When he has a 10-second, you know, advantage halfway through the race, the other riders have to be smiling, as you kind of alluded to. Usually that's been 30 plus during the race. They're actually, are they starting to make up some of that ground?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You think he may be backing it down then?
Maybe a little bit. And, you know, this track doesn't have a lot of, I mean, it has a ton of obstacles, but it's not just a hang it out and go track. So, you know, maybe they're having a little bit of a better chance sticking with them. And, you know, they are having to pick their lines pretty carefully. You know, even James has to get a wheel in that rut and make sure it hangs together. And maybe it's making it tough for him to pull away from the guys. But as we saw in the first moto, best lap times were over 3 seconds faster than everybody else.
Yeah, that is amazing. When you have the best riders in the world here in the U.S. trying to win the U.S. National Championship, to be 3 seconds faster than the nearest competitor, it's pretty much unprecedented. I don't know if Ricky really had that kind of a follower when he came into the 125.
And I totally agree. The best riders in the world are here racing in America. I mean, Stefan Everts might have a beef with that, but the Motocross the Nation still in the lurch, so to speak. American team not committed to it. Ricky Carmichael not going to be able to go. He had an open letter to the fans. He will not be racing in Holland. So,
but look at this battle going on between Davi Millsaps in second, Ramsey, and now Tedesco in the fray.
Yep, and the 130 bike is a lapper. Let's watch Tedesco. This jump field section. Whoa, Tedesco airing out that section. Nate Ramsey wasn't able to do it maybe because of the lapper or he didn't want to, but Tedesco's pulled up right alongside of him. Now the lapper's a factor. Tedesco and out, and then Dyson between them, threading the needle. So a great job. Tedesco, like we said, the Supercross champ this year on the West Coast, not afraid to mix it up in tight quarters.
Can you believe that pass that he put on Nathan Ramsey right there? Nathan was kind of being a little tentative with the lap rider in front of him. You can't be tentative in motocross. I still cannot believe it was like a slingshot. He just shot by him.
Yeah, and Ivan just rocking it. And the confidence he's been building, it's only going to get better going forward for Ivan. I think he's definitely one of the great bright hopes for the 250 class as well. I mean, a lot of people talking about James Stewart, and we know Ivan's going to ride 125s again next year. But the year after that, I think he's a real threat to be one of those top 3 players on the 250.
Now let's see if he can make up time. James Stewart is out in front. Second spot, Davi Millsaps. Third is now Ivan Tedesco. Fourth is Nathan Ramsey, but they're all chasing James Bubba Stewart, and there's his dad, Jamie.
Big James, what do you have to say for your son today? He's amazing.
He's on it today. He's definitely on it. We got a little point to prove to a lot of people out here.
What point is that? I really don't understand, because he is the most amazing thing we've seen in this class, obviously, since Ricky. What do you guys have to prove?
You know, it's a lot of smack talk that a lot of people say that James give up, you know, he quit because his bike broke and they didn't want to put in it. Those guys don't know nothing about James. He's no quitter at all.
Cameron, you know the phrase, don't hate, congratulate. Those guys are crazy.
Calling out James Stewart is just a total buffoon move, and these guys are still dicing it out. Third place Tedesco, and still being chased by Ramsey. Ramsey does not want to give up.
No, he doesn't, but giving up the ghost there is the Kawasaki, the Pro Circuit Kawasaki raises his hand. Ivan Tedesco is 4th DNF, has broke 4 times this year, and he has to be disappointed. Ivan Tedesco.
Oh, a little frustration there.
Yeah, well, what do you expect? His bike breaks, he can't ride it, that's what he's paid to do. We'll see if James Stewart can stay out in front. Welcome back to the FMF Nationals at Kenworthy's Motocross Park. I'm Robbie Floyd with Cameron Steele and problems for Davi Millsaps.
Oh, the 188 bike. Trying to start it. We talked about stalling the 4-stroke. We don't know if that's all the problem is. You see him making sure that it's in neutral and frustration.
Yeah, he doesn't know what happens there. You've talked about it so many times throughout the year. The 4-stroke's hard to start. He's in a deep rut. Maybe he did. Maybe he just chugged into a start. It happens with those 4-strokes.
Well, this now develops into the battle for second, and you never know with Millsaps. He could have killed the bike. I mean, we're towards the end of the moto. These guys just ride the wheels off of them.
Make note to Matt Walker, the guy who said he was going to play conservative, is now in the picture, mixing it up with Josh Grant and Nathan Ramsey. There's Ramsey, 25, just behind him. The 386 of Grant, and here comes a hard-charging Matt Walker. He is on a mission.
And Matt Walker's talked about how he's being a little bit more conservative, but we know he can hang it out. He will bang to get positions if he needs to. Just a great all-around rider, so maybe now we'll see that hang it out from Walker.
Matty goes to the inside, and the pass over Josh Grant. Matt Walker has worked his way up through the field. Now he trails only 2 riders, James Stewart, and just in front of him, the 25 of Nathan Ramsey. That 4-stroke is turning some quick laps. You see Ramsey's not backing down by any means. Neither is Josh Grant. But remember, Davi Millsaps was in front of this crew, and Jamie, I believe she has it now.
What happened?
I don't know. I went on the corner and bike just shut off.
Bike problems again?
I don't know. He got it started after about 150 kicks. But, you know, I didn't stall the bike. It just totally shut off.
How frustrating.
2 weekends in a row, you know.
Great first moto and bad second moto. We've got 5 more rounds to go, Davey.
Yeah, well, 5 more rounds and then I cut it now.
Sorry to see. Davi Millsaps going for another podium overall today. Unfortunately, bike problems have got him sidelined once again for 2 weekends in a row.
A somber moment for Davi Millsaps. Cameron, you and I both know the Kawasaki and Suzuki 4-stroke are the same bike, and we saw Tedesco already go down.
Well, you know, it's tough to say about the machine. And you can kill any bike out there, and this is just such a brutal sport. James Stewart killed everybody and did a heel clicker and just continues this session.
Hey, that's how freestyle started right there. Exactly, just like that.
Yeah, a guy by the name of Gordon Ward coming with the heel clicker, the very first one ever done. And James not totally letting up, still risking it with some sections there, and just the master of the dirt bike. This section right here where he seat bounces and trips, gets up on top of that next section there. The other guy's not able to do it on the inside.
Yeah. I think I'll just take the low road here. Our closing moments here in Moto 2 of Kenworthy's. And yeah, it's all fist pumps, hands up in the air. James Stewart going for another win. His 13th win on the year if he can keep it on 2 wheels.
Well, he's got to keep hands on the bars. And look at the manual rolling out there. And it's official, 13 Moto wins in the 125cc class for 2004. And James Bubba Stewart is all smiles. Take your pictures, ladies and gentlemen. And the overall win to him as well. And James just phenomenal riding again. And, you know, Nathan Ramsey coming with a great result, but he's not going to be a factor in that overall. We'll see how the math works it out.
And Suzuki brings us our finishing results in Moto number 2. Josh Hansen finished in 19th spot, Laloz in the 20th spot. Now down to James Stewart, who is all smiles on the podium. Jamie?
You won, and everybody's happy about it, but I hear you're listening to those critics saying that one moto you gave up. Give me a break.
Nah, you know, I think if it's anybody out there, I'm definitely not the person that gives up. You know, you guys see me, and, you know, I'm always pushing the whole race. You know, I'm out here having fun, whipping it for you guys, and, you know, it just kind of bums me out when people say I give up, you know, just how hard I try every weekend. But I'm still winning, having fun. So I guess I can't be giving it up too much, you know.
We got Ken Griffey Jr. came out with his family to check out James. You're doing great things. Great to see you up here again.
Thank you, guys.
James Stewart. I hate it when they talk trash about you too, James. Stewart, Walker, and Grant in the top three. You see Ryan Hughes after that mishap finishes 8th. But Matt Walker, 2 podiums in a row.
You know what? You've been on the gas all year. You've had a little bit of bad luck, but I think it's starting to turn around.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, I've always been fast, but consistency is what I got to do. So I want to be the top guy on my team and the top guy, you know, Kawasaki has for this year. But unfortunately, it ain't looking like that. So I'm just trying to better myself for next year, and hopefully I can win a championship next year. But today, I got to pop my collar for today because that was a good ride, and I felt good.
As we take a look at the AMA Chevrolet U.S. Motocross Championship points race, not much of a race for first spot. James Stewart, 325, 72-point advantage over Mike Brown. Ryan Hughes had his mishaps, but we'll see him at our next stop on the U.S. Motocross National Championship Tour. For Cameron Steele and Jamie Little, I'm Robbie Floyd. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.